All right, Jordan, well, thanks for coming on to the workshop today.
My pleasure.
Okay, now what we're doing here is we're going to workshop the risk category. Well, we're going to workshop risk, which is part of your course. The unit of competency is Manage Projects and Strategies, which is part of your diploma in Community Services casework. So, in workshopping this, we're looking at the whole question of risk. Now, if I were to ask anyone in the street, what is a risk? I'd probably, if I asked 5 people, I'd get 6 answers. Okay, everyone's got an intuitive idea of risk, but you know, we want to sort of nail down risk to something that's manageable for this workshop. Okay, so it's probably not the most ornate definition, but for our purposes, it wonderfully suits us for this risk assessment that we're going to do. Now, risk is firstly an event or a situation, but let's just call it an event, something that actually happens. So let's just underline that, an event. Risk is an event. So you think of a car accident, you think of a thunderstorm, when you're harvesting, it's an event that if it occurs, it's something that we don't want. It's negative. So it's an event that negatively impacts on the execution or outcome of a project. Okay? So, an event, let's get the key words. Risk is an event that negatively impacts on our project. Okay. How does that sit with you, Jordan?
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
Okay, feel comfortable with that broad sort of, well, it's really not broad, it's a fairly narrow definition, really. It's taking the elements of it and, for our purposes, making it very punchy. 3 key ideas. Event, it's negative, and it impacts on your project. Okay. Now, for our purposes, because you're in the community services area, we've got a project, and the project is to increase the employment of autism-affected youth, because I think you mentioned to me that somewhere in the order of 90% of autism-affected people are unemployed. So we want, our project is, within the community services sector, to increase the employment of autism-affected youth. Okay, we have our definition of risk. We then have risk categories. Now, risk category is a broad category of things that can happen that have some sort of commonality. So, our risk category is public consultation. Let's just underline that. Public consultation. You can get it right, you can get it wrong, you can imagine you're getting it right and then something out of left field happens, some horrible negative event that mucks up your public consultation. So within the risk category of public consultation for our project, Increasing Employment of Autism-Affected Youth, we want to define all the risks that go within this risk category. Okay, so now we're going to brainstorm. This is the fun bit. All right, we've got, what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's a really, if you can keep it to even 6, but we'll go for 7. Okay, item number 1. Let's have a risk, which is a negative event, within public consultation for our project. What would that first risk item B. Now remember, we've got to state a risk adversely. We've got to state it negatively. It's got to be something that we think, oh heck, I wish that hadn't have happened. Okay, we've got to be very specific, and we only include one thing at a time. We don't go, oh, the risk is, and there's really 4 risks all bullet pointed under one. Well, if there's 4, we make 4. Okay, so we're going to think of what would be a negative event that affects public consultation for our project. Now, can you think of one, Jordan, that might work in this area?
Oh, a risk could be that the public consultation was not done early enough.
All right. It fulfills our definition. It's negative. It's not done early enough. It's specific. It's time-based. And there's one. Okay. So let's just write this in. Public consultation not done early enough. Okay, I consider that a risk event, certainly avoidable. We're going to talk about over here some of the the things that can reduce that risk, but let's just jot them down. That's definitely a risk event. I've got one. Lack of information to the public. I'll use another pen. Lack of information to the public. Lack of information to the public. Okay. You can fulfill this. Oh yes, we did this on time. Public consultation was done earlier. Big tick, big tick. But there wasn't much information in it. And people thinking, so what are you really saying? So there's separate risk events. All right. I'd like you to come to the whiteboard and give me another one that you might think might be involved here.
Oh, well, I think if the public sector and the NGO agencies are uncooperative.
Is that an issue in community services?
Can be.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Way you go. Great, so we've got 3 so far. Public consultation not done early enough, poor information in that consultation, and you've got an uncooperative set of stakeholders, public sector and NGO agencies, that are really making life difficult. Okay, let's see if we can flesh it out even further. Any more that you can think of?
Poor presentation material, I think, could be a risk.
All right. How's that different from lack of information to the public?
Well, you can get all the information out there, but if it's not in a nice, concise form that's easy to understand, it might as well be a lack of information to the public.
Oh, okay. So what you're saying is you can have it all out there, it can be 7th decimal place accuracy, but it's written in a manner that people just can't. They just don't understand how. It's too technical. All right, okay, I'm happy with that. Away we go. All right, I've got one. What happens if the media, particularly the local media, turn against you? And they say, what a waste of money, or money could be better spent elsewhere. and they really make life miserable for you. Is that something that you guys in the community services sector have to deal with?
Yeah, we live in a country of free speech, and sometimes the media have the influence over what happens and what doesn't happen.
Okay.
Or what should happen or shouldn't happen.
All right, I'm going to say unfavourable media. They just bag you out. All right, let's keep workshopping, brainstorming this. Any more? I mean, we don't have to, you can have one, but are there any more that you can think of?
I can think of another one.
Yeah.
Yeah. The stakeholder consultation is not thorough enough.
Right, okay. So that's different to number 3?
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. All right, let's write that up. Right. So we've now got our magic 6. All these are discrete risk events. They're negative. They impact negatively on our project, and they are within this risk category of public consultation. So it fulfills all the things that we've got. Is there any more? I mean, we have one space, but that doesn't mean we have to fill it. Any more that we can think of for our risk category public consultation?
One thing that's a risk with any project is hidden costs. So we might set a budget of X amount and find out that it's double or triple what we thought.
Is that a common thing in the community services sector?
Yep, it's a common thing with anything really. Building a bridge or a road or...
All right, well, all right. So you're saying costs?
Yep.
Cost increases?
Yep.
Okay, that's the worst thing you want to find out. That just when you've got all your ducks lined up, you can't pay for them to take off. So, okay. All right. Well, for our purposes, that's more than enough. We've pretty much got a bag of risk events under public consultation that really could endanger our project. All right, now we want to look at this whole question of impact. If the impact is catastrophic, like it's going to blow us completely out of the water, we call it 100. We're rating it out of 100. If the impact is really 0, yes, it'll happen, but it's a very mild to negligible amount. We'll call that 0. So we've got nil impact, low impact, moderate impact, significant impact. Oh, we're getting pretty heavy now. Significant impact, serious impact, catastrophic impact. So the impact of that negative event, what would we, in this case, give to that? Is it nil? Is it low? How would you rate public consultation not done in enough?
Oh, I would think that it's serious. Serious?
Yep. All right, so within the band serious, we've got between 75 and 99. All right, just, draw from whatever source you like, whether it's your gastric juices or, past history. What do you think within the 75 to 99 range of serious would the impact be? Out of 100, we're going to deposit a number.
Look, probably 80.
80? All right, let's write up 80. Okay, so let's sit with 80 for the moment. Now, it might have a very high impact. In fact, in this case, it is a high impact. You've given, 80 out of 100. That's nothing to ignore. But look, you might say, well, okay, it's pretty difficult, but the likelihood, well, to be honest, it may not, will not happen. So we give it 0. Even if it's catastrophic, it might be willing to happen. For example, in Western New South Wales, which is about 500 kilometres from the coast with the Great Dividing Range in between, the impact of a tsunami would be pretty horrible. But the likelihood of a tsunami reaching Western New South Wales is, well,
next to zero.
Next to zero. So the impact might be high, but the likelihood is low. Okay, give us the likelihood of this risk of public consultation not done early enough.
I think it's quite low.
So low. You're saying it's in the 1 to 24 range because we've got.
Yeah, I'll say about 20. I mean
20.
Yeah.
So it's in the low range. You're saying 20.
Yeah, I'll give it 20.
All right.
Yep.
Let's put up 20. Now, here's the magic. This column here is the magic. We multiply that by that and express it as a percentage. So 80 times 20 is 1,600, expressed as a percentage is 16. I'll write up 16. Now you might say, well, what's that got to do with the price of fish? Let's come back to that. All right. Amelioration actions, which is perhaps a bit of gobbledygook, to mean actions that lower the impact, reduce that, or lower the likelihood, reduce that, and therefore lowers this thing that we've called call to action. We'll come back to what call to action means in a moment. Preferably we say what needs to be done, by whom, and when. So if I wanted to lower the impact or lower the likelihood of public consultation not done early enough, what in your organisation do you think we could do to lower that?
I think there should be plenty of communication out there to communicate when the meetings are on and when the information sessions are happening, and that way there should be plenty of consultation done early enough in time for the project to take off.
Do you have communication staff, like public relations staff, those sort of people? Do you have those?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
When do they normally get involved in a project?
Oh, usually fairly early on.
Okay. If they were early on, like day one,
then that probably would help that little bit more, I think.
all right. So your communication staff, what are you saying?
That they should attend each project meeting.
All right. Why don't we put that up? Right, so we've completed for this risk event, public consultation not done early enough, a risk assessment that gives us this magical number 16, which we'll come back to in a moment. And this is the way we can get that down. This is a golf score. We want it low. We can get it down if we get your public relations staff involved from day -1 in the project. Okay, let's quickly run through these. I'll trust your judgment. You're a seasoned operator in this game. So let's see if we can run through these and see how we go. I'll write, as you give us your pen, I'll write, you just give me your rough feelings. Impact of lack of information to the public.
I think that's quite serious. I'd give that an 80 as well.
Oh, okay. So, all right. So you know that that's caused problems in the past.
Yeah.
What's the likelihood?
That is fairly likely. I'd say probably significant.
Oh.
I'd give it about a 50.
50. So it's a low range. Its significance 50 to 74, and you're putting it at the bottom end of significant.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Righto. So 80, 50. What's that give us with our call to action? 40, isn't it?
40. Yeah.
80 times 50 divided by 100. 40.
40.
Okay. How would we lower our golf score?
I think if David Baker was to immediately prepare a staged communication plan.
Oh, so David Baker works for your organisation?
Yep.
Okay, David Baker prepares staged communication plan. Is that it?
Yep.
Oh, okay, okay. That sounds good. That would, well, I don't know about significantly, but that would lower your golf score.
Mm.
Great. Okay. Now that was, we've done two.
Mm.
Okay, let's keep the momentum going. Uncooperative public sector and NGO agencies. Give me your impact.
I'd give it an 80 again, I think.
80?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, so this is serious again.
Yeah. Not
They can-
catastrophic, but yeah.
They can really cut it up pretty badly for you.
Mm. Yeah.
Right. What's the likelihood? What's it been in the past?
Usually they're pretty good, so yeah, I'd give it 20, I think.
20?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, so you think 20, 80 for impact, 20 for likelihood. Call to action, well, same as the first one, 16. What would you do to lower that call to action number?
I think develop the escalation procedures at the next project meeting.
Right. Develop escalation procedures.
Come here, I got some toys.
Oh, we had a bit of an interruption. Just hold it for a minute. Right, develop escalation procedures. So what you're saying there is uncooperative public sector and NGO agencies, and if people are making life miserable for you, you'd escalate it to perhaps even the chief executive.
Mm. Yep, go the next step up.
All right. Okay, let's go. Poor presentation material.
It's not a big deal. Look, I'd say moderate. Give it about a 40, I reckon.
40.
Yeah.
Okay, so 40 for impact, which puts it in the moderate range. Okay,
Yeah.
likelihood.
Likelihood. Yeah, look, I'd give it about a 40 again.
40, so it's moderate.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, that doesn't give us much. Well, it's not very high.
No.
What's that? 40 times 40 is
1600, so 16 is
another 16, is it?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. All right. Because this is the 40 there. Okay, this is the second highest in likelihood. Okay. Okay. How would we overcome poor presentation material?
Well, I think if the communication staff edited the presentation material before its release,
Oh, okay.
that'd solve the problem.
Comms staff edit presentation material. Sometimes they don't, is that what you're suggesting? And that's been a handicap in the past?
Yep.
Alright, okay. So if they did that, that would lower that score.
Yep.
Alright, unfavourable media. What would the impact of unfavourable media be like?
I'd still probably give it a moderate, maybe a 40.
40?
Yeah.
Yeah. What about likelihood? How likely is that to happen?
I think fairly low. The media are pretty good on these sort of things. Probably 20.
20?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Alright, so that's not too bad. That comes down to 8. How can you help the situation such that that risk event is either less impactful or less likely?
Well, if the the communication staff prepare a briefing pack and hotline to the regional managers facing the negative media.
Oh, okay. So these comm staff are involved again. What is it? Prepare, what did you call it?
Briefing pack.
A briefing pack.
Yeah. And a hotline to the regional managers.
PAC and hotline to your regional manager and others.
Yeah, facing the negative impact, negative media.
So I take it that, so if there is negative media, your regional manager can get on the phone immediately and say, look, could I correct what you've just written in the newspaper or something like that.
Yep.
All right, let's keep going. Stakeholder consultation not thorough enough. Impact.
To be honest, it's really quite low. I'd say probably 10.
10?
Mm.
Oh, okay. Righto. So you do it pretty well from what I can gather.
Yeah, no.
Okay, but what's the likelihood? Is it certain to happen?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I'd give it 100.
You give it 100?
Yep.
So it's 10 and 100?
Yep.
Is that right?
Yep.
Oh. Wow. So it's, the likelihood is that you don't do it, that you're not thorough enough. It happens all the time.
It does, yeah.
Wow.
It's a bit of an issue, yep.
So that still comes down to 10 though.
Yep.
Okay, so how can you lower the likelihood of this thing?
I think if the project director makes time available to the aggrieved stakeholders.
So the project director, who I take it is your boss,
Yeah.
talks to aggrieved stakeholders. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Right. Aggrieved stakeholders. So gets on the phone immediately or answers the phone immediately and says, we need to talk.
Yeah.
Okay. Cost increases. Oh boy. What's the impact of this?
I'd say about 50.
50.
Mm.
Okay, so it's 50 is in the range significant.
Yeah.
Oh, well, your accountants come down heavy.
Yeah.
What about the likelihood of it?
Say 50.
50?
Yeah.
Wow.
Mm.
So you're saying that this is 25?
Yep.
Oh, still not the highest. Okay, so what can we do to ameliorate that action?
Jane Smith, who works for our organisation, if she can obtain early estimates of cost and scope.
Obtain early estimates of cost and scope. Yeah.
And if she could also regularly communicate the anticipated increases.
Oh, okay. And then communicate increases.
Yep.
Oh, okay, righto. So just keep it on a short leash.
Yep.
Right, okay. All right. Okay, so here we have all your actions. Now, concentrate on this call to action. This call to action is saying, what is the relative importance from a management point of view of those involved in the project of these things? So, your highest call to action, if I'm correct, is 40.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, it's significantly above the next highest, which is 25. So that's saying lack of information to the public is a massive screaming, yelling call to action. Get on with it.
Mm. Yep.
So that means that this action here, which is, I don't know David Baker, but he's presumably one of your colleagues. David Baker is to prepare stage communication plan.
Yep.
So we would want to doom that to success.
Mm.
We would,
First priority.
first priority, as soon as we leave this room, we go to David Baker's office and say, listen, mate, we've got to absolutely get on top of that.
Mm.
Right, okay. So that call to action is telling management and everybody involved, this screams at us, don't drop the ball on that.
Mm.
Okay, what's the next highest call to action?
Cost increases.
Cost increases. So that's urgent. This is less urgent, but it's still pretty urgent. Jane Smith obtains early estimates for costs and scope, and she communicates any increases as they occur along the way.
Yep.
Okay, So if we were reordering this page, we would put this one at the top. Then cost increases second. What's the next one? Oh, there's a trifecta here. There's public consultation not done early enough. There's uncooperative public sector and NGO agencies. Poor presentation material. So they're further down the list. And then, not that we're dismissing them, because I'm a bit worried about this one here. The likelihood's 100. But its impact is low. But these two at the bottom, whilst they're important, they're not urgent. They're not going to keep us awake at night.
No. If you can get those higher scores down, that's the most important thing.
So this one's screaming at us. This one's yelling at us. These three are calling to us. And these two are tapping us on the shoulder and saying, don't forget this as well.
Yep.
Okay, beautiful work, Jordan. You've just done a risk assessment for public consultation in your project to increase employment for autism-affected youth. Well done.
My pleasure.